Hi there, everyone. This is Ryan Clancy from Educational Networks. I work here at EdgeNet as one of the client success managers, and today I'd like to talk to you about how you're able to use your website's form modules for absence request forms. Let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Looking here, what we see is we see a great example of an absence request form. Now, when we look at this, there's a few important things to note. You can add many different types of fields, including drop-down menus to select schools. This can be useful because you can set up notifications based upon the answers that students choose. It may be, in your case, so you maybe use the grade level for that. And you can also add something in, such as a date field to request a start and end date for that particular absence. Also, too, with the forms feature, something that makes it easier for you and for students and their families is that you can designate required fields. So what that does is it makes sure that you're getting complete information the very first time that form is being submitted. And then finally, you can even create a field that allows parents and students to go ahead and to upload documentation for that absence. So as we see, the forms module is a great way to go when you are setting up an attendance form or an absence request form like this here. What we're going to have a chance to do now is we're going to have a chance to see how we can go in and review the information from an absence request form. Then we get to get started with building one of our very own. One of the really great things about the form module is how easy it makes it for you to be able to quickly and easily review important information. Let's go ahead and see how. To do that, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in and I'm going to log into my account on the admin site. And once I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Forms. What that will provide me is a list of all the different forms that are currently on this site, the live forms here. So let's go ahead and look for a form that has a submission. Here's a great example. We have our school year application. Now, the same way that I'm going in and I'm accessing this here, this is also the same way that you would go in and review information for your absence request form. What you do is you go in and you select the submission you want to go ahead and review. So I'm going to say as an example here, I'm going to review this one here at the top. And we're able to go ahead, scroll through. We're able to go in and view all the different information on this. So we're able to view all the different fields, different sections. So the nice thing is, of course, is you can have those different sections on the form. It helps keep everything nice and organized. Also from here as well, you can go in and you can actually print out the individual form submission. Now, what's also really cool too is you can go in and you can actually export this information out over to a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now, to do that, what you would do is you would go in, you would click Export As, and from here you'd either select Microsoft Excel if you'd like to export it in that format, and you also have the option to export it out to be a CSV file. Something else before we go in and we get started with building out a form, our absence request form, this is something that's particularly important for something such as an absence request form. And that is where you can go in, you can set up notifications. Now, you can set up a notification so whenever a submission is sent in, and whenever a form submission is sent in, that someone receives an email. But you can also set up conditions. You can base the notifications on the responses that students and parents place in. A great example, a great use for this would be to go in and to use grade levels for that there. And to add a notification, all you do is you just go in and you click Add Notification. You choose the user you want to notify. So we'll say as an example here, so let's use my name as an example. And then I just go in and click Add Conditions. So for this here, what I can do is I can go in and select grade level, and I would choose the grade level that I want to essentially receive the notifications from that are listed here. So this is all based upon the answers that can be given in this particular form. So as we see here, everyone, the forms module makes it easy for us to stay up to date on incoming absence requests, and also makes it easy for us to go in and to review it. What's really cool too is we're going to see here in just a minute is that it does make it easy for us to get started and build out a new absence request form. Step number 1 to build an absence request form is to go in and select the forms module. I go in and click that. Then from here, what I'll do is I'll go in and select create new form. And I start by setting up these initial settings. This is something that usually takes just a minute to do. So I'm going to say that this is going to be our 2020 absence request form. Now what's nice too is if we go, for example, to our 2020 school interest form, you do have the option to add a description here. So this can also be a good opportunity to put in some policy information. So we could put something in such as this. All forms are reviewed by an administrator. Please note that all vacations should be taken during designated school breaks. So we got a little bit of our policy information there. Perfect. Now, as soon as I've gone ahead and I've done that, what I need to do now is I'm going to need to designate a manager for this form. So you can even designate people who are not website admins, as long as they have an account on the site, that you can go ahead and designate them to be a manager. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself to be the manager, just for the purpose of this video here. We got a few more steps, and then what we get to do is we get to go in and actually start building out our form. Our next step here is we want to go ahead and decide what we want to have happen after the form is submitted. So I am going to keep this on show confirmation message. So I go in and I leave that be, and I type something in such as thank you for your submission. All forms are reviewed within 72 hours. Perfect. Scrolling down just a little bit further, we also have some other options, and this includes where you can go in and enable credit card charges. In this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use spam protection and also serve this over a secure connection. I click save. And now what we get to do is we get to go in and actually start building out our actual form. Now to do this, it's important to note that this uses a drag and drop instruction format. So let's go in and start by asking for the student's first name. So I find the right type of text field, so that's going to be a single line text. Just note the variety of different fields you have available to you. And all I do is I click, drag, and drop. Then from here what I do is I go in and click on this, and I title the question, First Name. As soon as I've done that, to ensure that this form is turned in a timely fashion, what I'm going to do, and we get all the information, is I'm going to make this a required field. Now that we've gone in and we've added our first field, let's go in and add another field for last name. So the steps are pretty much the same. I click, drag, and drop. Click on the question to change the question, so we'll make it last name. And to make sure that this is filled in, I go in and check the required field box, and I click update. So we've added first name and last name. Maybe we want to go in and add a field for student ID. So the same thing. I just go in, add that on there. Just going to change it real quickly and make that a required field. Now, one thing we may want to do is we may want to set up a notification for this. So as an example, we may want to go in and set up a notification for, based on grade level. So for this here, we have several options for this. Looking over here, we have our multiple choice questions. We can use either a checkbox, a radio button, or a drop-down menu. In this case, because it is a question that really there's only one answer for, I'm going to go ahead and select the radio button option. And for this here, what I'll do is I'll click, drag, and drop. So the steps are pretty much the same. I'll just click on this to edit the question. So the question is going to be grade level. I'm going to change this now to grade 9, grade 10, grade 11. So you see how by clicking add options, that's how you're going to go in and add the different choices on. And then also grade 12. And I'm going in and checking the required field box. I select update, and we can see now that we've successfully added that on. Now that we've gone in and we've done that, what we may want to do next is something to help keep our form a little bit more organized. We may want to go in and add on a section header. So for this here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, drag and drop this in. And what I'm going to title this here is I'm going to title this student information. Perfect. Now, once we've gone ahead and done that, we may want to go in and add a section for parent information because you may find you want to reach out to parents if you have any questions about the request. So for this here, I'm going to start by getting another section header. And I'm going to click, drag, and drop. It's going to change this here to parent information. Now I'm going to click update. And the same thing, we're just going to click, drag, and drop. This will be the question for first name. Going to make that a required field. Let's go in and get another text field for last name. So for this here, I'm going to click, drag, and drop. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to change this here to last name. I'm going to make this a required field. And I'm going to click update. Now in this case, we're going to ask for contact information. So as an example, we could ask for phone number and email. Now you'll notice that we don't have a field for phone number here. That's okay. We can use a single line text field for that. So I'm going to click, drag, and drop. And there's something really cool about this too here. I go in, click single line. I'm going to change the question here to phone number. Something that we're able to do with this particular question, we can go over here to where it says validate, and we can select is phone. So what this allows us to do is validate that when the phone number is put in, that it is done in essentially as the right number of digits, and it'll actually format it to look like a phone number. It's going to make that a required field. And then, of course, we may want to add a field on here for email. So for this, I'm going to click, drag, and drop. I'm just going to select this again and check this box to make that a required field. So we now have an area here for student information as well as an area for parent information. What we'll do next is we're going to go in and add another area for information about the absence. So I start, of course, by getting another section header. And what I'll do is I'll just click, drag, and drop. I'll click on the section header, and I'm going to change this now to absence information. And I'm going to click update. Once I've gone in and I've done that, what I'm going to do is you may want to ask for the reason for the absence. So in this case here, what I'm going to use is the single line text field really wouldn't give us a whole lot of room for parents and students to fill that in. So I'm going to go in and use a multi-line text field. I'll just click, drag, and drop. Click on the question and change this here to reason for absence. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two fields to ask for the dates that the absence will be occurring on. So for this here, I'm going to click, drag and drop. I'm going to select this here. I'm going to title this here Start Date. Make that a required field and click Update. I'll now get another field for End Date. So we'll go in and click, drag and drop. Change this here to End Date and make that a required field. And then finally, as an option, so this is something that would be optional, I can go in and add a field. And you know, this is up to you. This is definitely something you can make a required field if you'd like to. We can add a file attachment fields so parents can go in and they can upload documentation to support the need for the absence. So in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, drag, and drop. And I'm just going to change the question here. I'm not going to make this a required question or something they have to do. So we'll do documentation for absence. I'm not making it required, but what I am going to do is I'm going to allow them to upload multiple files if they need to. And I click Update. All right, everyone. Well, our absence request form here is pretty much all set to go. So all I need to do now is I go in and I click Save. And we can go in and click Preview Form. And we're able to view now our completed form. So we have an area, of course, for student information, for parent information, information about the absence itself. You also see the spam protection measures here. You have that set up there as well. You have the option to have that set up. And the description we added. So that kind of goes over some of the policy information for this particular form. But one of the neat things that you can do as well is you can set up notifications for this here. So to do that, what I do is I just click Close Editor. And we saw a little bit of this a little bit earlier. But in this case, let's go ahead and set one up for real. We click Notifications, click Add Notification. And I got to first decide who I want this to be set up to go to. So in this case, I'm going to say that this is going to go over to David Smith. So I select his name. After I've done that, I can add a condition. So I'll say that Mr. Smith, that he is in charge of the 12th grade class. So for that, I'll just go in and select Add a Condition. And this is something optional to do. You do not have to set a condition, and that would allow someone to receive notifications of all the form submissions. But in this case, I'm going to select grade level and select grade 12 and click Save. And what we can see now is that he is set to go to be able to go ahead and receive emails anytime someone turns this form in. A great place to go for help with questions about your site and the absence request form you're creating is our tech support team. Here at Educational Networks, we have an amazing, amazing tech support team. You have two ways to reach out to tech support. For questions, a great way to reach out to them is to give them a call. For requests, for example, if you'd like to create a tab on your navigation bar specifically for an absence request form, a great way to go is to go in and create a ticket. To do that, you click the Create a Ticket button on your dashboard on your admin site, and you just simply go ahead and you fill in this particular form here. This is also great too because if you have, for example, you need to embed a document on your site, what's nice about this is you fill in the request, but you can also add that on as an attachment. So it's cool because it saves you from having to send a separate email as well. Alrighty, everyone. Well, along with our tech support team, if you have questions about setting up your absence request form, please feel free to reach out to our client success team. My name is Ryan Clancy, and I'm one of the Client Success Managers here at Educational Networks. I have my email listed here. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.